Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Carla and today I'm going to talk you through the different practices that I put in place that helped me to stop overeating and ultimately helped me to lose 183 pounds or 13 stone or 80 kg, give or take, depending on what country and what unit of measurement you use. So I'm going to jump right into the list and hopefully some of these tips will really help you. They kind of go as like an overarching general practice. So, adopt what you want to and see if any of them work. But really as like a whole practice, this is what really worked for me. Tip number 1 is to ensure that you are grounded prior to deciding what you want to eat and when you're going to eat. Typically, for somebody like myself who was an overeater, a binge eater, and a food addict, that I was using food as a coping mechanism to deal with the emotions that I was feeling. So I might overeat out of boredom or emotionally overeat, or I was in pain, I would overeat. So I'd be out here in the ether and I wouldn't be concentrating on what I'd be doing, but I'd just be like, I just want food to help me cope. That was my coping mechanism. So by bringing yourself and your presence and your awareness back into your body, you are ensuring that you can at least be somewhat in touch with how your body is feeling. And a very simple way to do that is to ensure that you can feel your feet. I know it might sound a little hooey to some of you, but making sure that you can feel your feet is a very simple tool in order to bring your presence, your awareness of your presence back into your body. So you can try it with me now. Basically, just start wiggling your toes, see how they feel. Mine are a little bit sore after wearing heels yesterday. Can you feel cold? Can you feel heat? Can you feel the ground underneath your feet? Can you actually feel that? Like wiggle your feet, stamp your feet, make sure you can feel it. If not, grab your legs and like literally touch your legs. That's just bringing that awareness back into your body. So you're not out here, you're just in your body just a little bit more, so that if you're about to make a decision about food, you're more likely to make it from the biological standpoint, so your physical body standpoint, rather than through an emotion. Tip number 2 is to pre-portion out your food. So previously I would have gone and made massive banquets of food for myself and my partner, or for if there was more people, say if there was 4 people coming over for dinner, I would have made enough for 20. And then I would leave out this smorgasbord of food and then I would just continue to eat it. So one of the things that I've really found helped me was to only cook just for the 2 of us. Typically I'd be cooking for the 2 of us, myself and my partner, or just cooking for myself, making sure that it's just that portion. And even if there was some more left over, I would ensure that I would just have that portion on my plate and leave the other, put it away, put it into the fridge or something like that. But just make sure that this is the portion, this is my portion. And it's not sitting on the table in front of me. So I'm not getting distracted thinking about that next portion of food. Tip number 3 is when it actually comes to the eating, to the actual physical act of eating, you need to ensure that there is no distractions. So reducing watching TV, not going through your phone, not watching something on YouTube while you're eating. Yes, having a conversation with your loved one or, interacting with other people, of course. But generally I love sitting down, watching a movie and having a big plate of food, and then I haven't even realized that I finished it. So by not being distracted, you're slightly more mindful of what you're actually putting into your body. And that's something that you're trying to achieve when you're losing weight, is you're trying to ensure that you know when you're satiated, when you have had enough to eat, as opposed to eating from an emotional standpoint. Similar to that, tip number 4 then is to put your fork down between each mouthful. This is an act that helps to reduce the speed at which you're eating food. So I used to wolf food into me because I'd always be thinking about the next bite. So instead of, being focused on what I'm going to get next, putting your fork down between each bite ensures that you are concentrating on the one that you have in your mouth now, not on what's coming next. So it's just becoming, again, more presence and more present in your body. Again, we're always staying grounded. We're always trying to be present and be mindful in our body. That's really the goal of this, so that we're not eating from that emotional standpoint. Tip number 5 is something that really, really helped me with my food addiction. And that was making an agreement with myself that I could have more. So we have our pre-portioned plate. I might have made more, or I've made something, there's something else in the fridge. I know that if I finish this portion that's on my plate, that I've made an agreement with myself that if I really want something else, I can have it. It's reducing the shame that you feel if you're going to go and have something else. It's reducing any of that kind of anxiety around not having enough, because that was my biggest trigger for me, was not having enough access to enough food. So by making an agreement with myself that I could have more if I wanted it, it really, really helped me. But then bringing on to tip number 6 was that I made the caveat agreement with myself that I would wait 20 minutes between finishing my last mouthful of my portion and the next mouthful. And this is something that really changed. This is where the game changer was for me. So instead of automatically going for my next portion, I would know that I would probably have to either go to the fridge and reheat it, or I would have to reheat it if it was cold, on the stove or something like that, or I'd have to make myself something else. So by having that 20-minute gap and a break between it, I'd be less likely to go and do that. But also it's giving my body the chance to understand what's happening in it, and to go, okay, no, like my body's picked up the cues that I've actually had enough to eat. So it really, really helped me. And then my next tip, which is something that also I was like taking that tip to the next level, was to move. So change where you are, change your direction, change what's happening. So say you're sitting ideally at your dinner table, you are feeling like you might want something a bit more, but you're not sure if you genuinely want it, or is it just habitual? Is it something that you have always just had seconds? Okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to wash my plate. I'm going to put it into the dishwasher, and then I'm going to go into the living room and watch a show. Or I'm going to go put my runners on and go for a walk around the block. Or I'm going to go upstairs and have a bath. Or I'm going to go take my makeup off. And by changing your behavior and changing your environment, it is giving your body a signal and a cue that this is now something different. This is a different time. Something else is happening. So you're not as focused again on going back for that second portion. Now, there are times when I did go back and have it because I understood, no, I actually think I need more food. I'm understanding what my biological signals and cues are for hunger. So I'm going back. So guys, my last tip is practice. This is not something that I did on day 1 of my weight loss journey and was like, okay, that's it, I've figured it out now. This is something that took practice, and every time that I achieved one of these steps and realized that I had overcome something, I celebrated myself, I congratulated myself. And there were times where I found it difficult and I would still eat a bit more than probably that I needed, or I'd go back and get seconds, and that would be okay because I'd made the agreement with myself. But it's practice. But this is something that I still even do now. Currently I'm 8 months pregnant and my hunger can be through the roof, and I just need to make sure that it's genuine hunger and not, or needing sustenance, and not emotional because, the baby's, kicking my ass today, or that I'm exhausted and I'm not just looking for sugar to eat. It's about being really mindful, and practicing and giving yourself grace. If you have eaten in a certain way for years and years and years, then, changing this is going to take time. So giving yourself that bit of grace, but not saying, I read this great meme today and it was like something like, if you wake up and you're 5 minutes late, you don't just go, oh, that's it, I'm just going to get back into bed for the rest of the day and I'll start again tomorrow. You hop up and you continue and you go and you do what you can to make up that time. That's the same with weight loss and with this kind of practices. Just because, you know, if you've like you've eaten more or you haven't been able to stick to it, that you go, okay, no, screw it, I'm not going to try it again. It's about getting back on and going and doing it again and practicing and seeing what works for you. And that's the same with all of this, is just see how it works for you. So guys, they are my 8 tips for how I overcame my overeating. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. Please, if you have, would you consider subscribing down below? Give me a thumbs up and let me know if there's any other type of content that you would like. And you can leave me a black heart if you made it to the end of the video. I love when you guys do that. So I will talk to you all really soon. Thanks guys.